Oh, hey, good night, good morning. Oh, Daivon, you might want to turn down the TV.
Oh, sorry about that.
Okay,
Watch the
all
game.
right. So, good night, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whatever it is that you're listening in and tuning in. Hoping to having a fantastic day today. Let's take a look at what we got here. Okay. If I can just get a shout out to Will over here real quick. Says we need to keep that same energy and playing with urgency. I agree, absolutely.
Yep.
How's it going, buddy? The King. How's it going, man?
How you doing?
So we got once more another show for y'all. Gonna try to do what we did last week, and that was ask ourselves a couple of questions. If we can give a quick preview of our game against the Dolphins, we're still gonna get to that as well. Hey, doing all right. Had a bit of a technical difficulty in order to start this off. That's why a little bit later. But before we begin and really have a long discussion, he can't stay here for much longer. So if you want me to stick around and continue a conversation that we might be having, please let me know. So that way we continue this after. He's probably going to be on here for about an hour.
Yeah.
So, and that's if you take a look at our previous streams, that hasn't been the case for me. Gary, how's it going? What's up, y'all? Ready for Sunday? I'll be at the game. Ooh, nice. Can't wait. Believe we can get the W. I do too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like I said, we're going to talk about the game. As a matter of fact, why don't we talk about that game now?
Yeah.
So what is your preview?
Okay, so I have a question for you. I don't know if the rumors are true, but let's say the Dolphins are shopping Tua and going to send him to, I think it's Washington football team. Will he play?
I think there's like a period of time that they have to follow. So if they want to execute this like three-way trade that they're trying to do right now, I think with Miami, Washington, and Houston, I think they have to wait until like after week 8.
Okay.
So
he's definitely playing this week.
Tua is, I think so.
Okay.
At this point, he's got no choice.
Yeah, he's like, dang, they don't want me to play for them. I still got to play.
That's so tough for him, man.
It is.
I feel bad, man, because he's a lefty like me, and
it's hard succeeding in the Dolphins. It really is.
Right. I mean, they were. I don't know what is like. They were fine last year. Maybe it was because of schedule or something. But like to me, they got the coaches.
Yeah.
I thought the roster overall got better.
Yeah, and I don't understand what's went wrong for them this year.
So, yeah, it is tough. How's it going, Eric?
How you doing?
Got some more people tuning in. All right. So, yeah, going on with the preview. What were you saying else?
I was saying if he's playing, I'm hoping he plays, of course, well, but I'm hoping he doesn't have that chip on his shoulder where he's like, I'm going to show them that they shouldn't have wanted to trade me, and it goes off for like 400 yards and stuff like that. So, I mean, he played very well against the Jaguars last week.
I don't.
As far as yardage, I say that.
Even that, we're still going to get to like performances for other players as well. On top of that,
the running game is non-existent over there.
Yeah, and neither is
Myles Gaskin.
Right, Salvin Ahmad as well. Yeah. It's so weird, really Daivon Johnson saying Ryan Fitzpatrick the why the Ryan Fitzpatrick is probably the reason why they're doing bad this year. And even then, like, Ryan Fitzpatrick is probably like, and I mean this in both the best way and the worst way possible. He's like Brett Favre. To the fact that he's probably older Brett Favre. to the point where it's like he's going to trust his receivers no matter what.
Yeah, throw the ball up
You know,
there.
and it's showing that. Like, and that's why you're starting to see those performances where he'll go off for 4 touchdowns, and then the next week he'll have 4 interceptions. It's all a matter of trust, you know,
Yep.
and he trusts his receivers to a fault on a consistent basis. So, how's it going, Melvin? All right. So, is there anything else you want to get off your chest about this upcoming game?
So I wouldn't call myself nervous, but I'm excited to see this team, you know, finally get back to 500. When is the last time we've been at 500? I think it was
Ooh, technically back when we were 0-0.
yeah, technically. It's been a while. I think there was like a stat. It was like because we've always started off the season these last couple years and something, you know, we never caught back up. So I think it's been like 2017 or something like that. It's been a while.
Yeah, because we lost that Eagles game in 2018. We were 1-1 in 2019.
Oh, okay.
When
Yeah,
we beat the Eagles again.
And then from there,
Kerry says, really hoping Rid can have a much better game this week. Will be very telling. Hoping he doesn't have any more drop passes.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that's. But again, he's a good. How's it going, J Rock? He's a good receiver.
It really
you know,
is.
But we know, and he knows it too, that he's not playing up to his best potential.
Yeah, he knows that.
So, how's it going, Blake? Ridley don't need to play like Rodney Anderson.
But that game was hard to watch, and I'm not even. And I want the Panthers to lose. They were dropping everything.
I know, like when it got down to, we're talking about the Vikings-Panthers game.
Mm-hmm.
When it got down to like Sam Darnold having that super long drive in order to get to the end zone, it was 28-20, right?
Yeah.
And then they got the touchdown. They got the 2-point conversion as well. And then Kirk Cousins, goodness gracious, man, he's doing everything he can over there in order to put them in position. And then they missed the kick again. Why do they keep relying on their kickers?
The Vikings never had success doing that.
My gosh, man. I mean, at least they won the coin toss.
Yeah, they won some.
So that got them in a better position to win the game, and they obviously did. But
yeah,
man, like the second that the Vikings rely on the kicker in a tough situation,
I was like, he's gonna miss.
Like you have that feeling, right? Like you have that feeling, like, yeah, they're not gonna make it. And then you just see the ball.
I was like, that wasn't even close.
Man. Yeah, Kerry says, but overall, glad he's back. I'm just hoping he improves. He's a good wide receiver, right? And a good route runner, too. But I think he's meant to be a number 2 guy. Again, we're going to talk about that later.
Yeah.
So, got some juicy questions that we can answer for each other. You know what? Since you have a limited time frame, do you want me to ask my 3 questions for you first?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So my first question is, what stats provide the best summary for a player, and which stats provide the worst summary for a player?
Okay, so that question, in my opinion, and there's like a controversy with this, like the new football analytics, like run success rate, block success rate, you know, these air yards per play. It's more efficient, you know, more efficiency. And the old metric of like passing yards, rushing yards, I think that can be misleading to show how good somebody really is. So I would think the new PFF is, you know, in the analytics, new age analytics, as they call it, is better to show how good a player really is.
Because it seems like the stats are kind of more like subjective.
Yeah, they really are.
And like what made me ask this question is because of all the times that I've had like these discussions with other people, like when you try to bring up one stat, that's really not enough, right? And then that leads to like, okay, well, there's a couple of things to explain away in a negative way, like why that stat is the case. So when I'm saying like, okay, so if we take a look at like completion percentage for a quarterback, let's say, Well, that can be increased because you're throwing a bunch of short passes, right? Well,
Yep.
is that the case? Well, sure. Like, and then let's check another stat, right? And we're going to
Mm-hmm.
check like average air yards per attempt or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, okay, well, how many times does this like X, Y, and Z happen? You're just going to keep going down the rabbit hole.
Yep.
It's all we're trying to get at.
Yep.
And it's very hard to have a discussion about stats and then cherry pick
Which
and then
one?
have a
Yeah.
successful and then have a
Yep.
successful rebuttal.
Mm-hmm. I always thought
So
it's just like you say, oh, Drew Brees is so good. People were bringing it up. He has so many passing yards. Like he threw the ball so many times. Like you can't compare his passing yards to another person's passing yards when he throws the ball 50 times a game and the other person throws the ball 25 times a game. You know, he's being more efficient with it. You know, touchdowns, you know, sometimes they could be, you know, fluky. You throw a 5-yard drag and he takes it to the house 95 yards, you know. So it's
yeah, it's sometimes it's not just that, but it's also like when the touchdown actually happens.
Yep, like late in the game.
Sometimes the score is like 30-3, and then you score 2 touchdowns
Garbage
after
time
that.
stats. Yeah.
Right. You know, and when you come to think about that, it's like, okay, so like Drew Brees, for example, he's got like a ton of yards, right? And he's been praised for that. You know, him and Brady, they both been praised for that, you know, because of how long they've been in the league and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But you think about it, you think about the opponents, you think about like their situations, you think about the weapons, you think about like all these different variables. There's so many things that go into account for one particular stat that it's almost unreliable, like when you use it out of context in the wrong way.
Yep.
So
Definitely.
and then they want to bash something else, like, well, even if Matt Ryan is 8th in passing all time, no one's going to remember the 8th place person.
That's I'm like, oh my goodness.
Okay, so let me put this in this perspective. I'm going to bring you an analogy, right? So I looked up a list and I wanted to figure out what were the movies that brought in the most amount of money over the course of their lifetime. I'm going to use this as a comparison.
Okay.
Right? So I looked up like the total gross earnings or whatever for this particular movie. And I'm trying to figure out, okay, well, do these numbers match up to how good the movie is? So obviously at number 1, and it's kind of by a slim margin, is still Avatar. I dare you to pick any 5 people that you know and ask them if Avatar is their favorite movie of all time.
Yeah. You know the answer.
Right. What's underneath it is Endgame. And again, you can have your subjectivity to like whatever kind of movie that it is. So maybe Endgame isn't it. Well, a lot of people like Titanic is too. And that's number 3. You know, so maybe if you're into that, or maybe you're a big Star Wars fan. The Force Awakens is number 4 on the list of all time. But the thing is that you can still appreciate like who else is on here. You know, one of my favorite movies and one of my cousin's favorite movies is The Lion King, and that's at number 7. So you think about it, it's like, oh, well, so no one's going to remember the 7th best movie. Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
So when you take this logic and you put it elsewhere, it doesn't make any sense. Because first of all, this metric is not a good way to tell how the movie is or what the movie's about.
Yeah.
You know, so like I'm going to bring this up, for example. There is a movie that brought in more money than Up, than Forrest Gump, than Monsters Inc., than Finding Nemo, than all this other stuff, right? All these other like 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10 kind of movies. You know what movie I'm talking about? Suicide Squad.
Did it freeze?
Yeah, I think you froze.
Oh, yeah.
But it was the answer is Suicide Squad.
Suicide. Yeah, I personally didn't like that movie. But
I don't think anyone did.
Yeah, it wasn't the best.
Yeah, but it almost cracked the top 100 of movies
crazy.
that earned a lot. Like I said, it earned more money than Up and Coco
Yeah.
and stuff like that. I'm like, are you serious? The King is talking about the first one or the second one. Which one are you referring to?
I think it was the Lion King.
Okay.
Because there was a recent one.
Carrie, thank you for that. Just for that, number 8 movie on the list, the first Avengers. And we obviously saw where that led to.
Yeah.
You know? Again, which movie you're referring to, the King? Yeah, Carrie. Yeah, I brought up Forrest Gump because there's a couple of people that really like that movie in here.
No thanks.
So yeah, I mean, like when you put stats into perspective like that, I'm kind of in the it's gotten to the point where I'm kind of in this mode where, oh, okay, so the King is talking about the Suicide Squad. Honestly, like if you want to watch that type of movie, go to the animated stuff.
Yeah.
The DC animated movies are generally on point.
Yeah.
So if that's what you're referring to, then yeah, I suggest that you, like, whenever you want to watch something that's like DC related, I'd say either stick to the comics or stick to the animated stuff until you're okay, yeah, he was talking about that. All right. But yeah, I'm kind of in the notion that you either have to bring up every stat or you have to bring up no stat to describe the player.
Yeah.
You can't cherry pick and you can't be so in between about it.
Do you like this new football analytics as opposed to the old, like the win rush percentage? But they have like a zone block. It just goes in depth. But I would say to an average fan, like, it's understand, you know.
It's so confusing, you know. Like
really
for a casual viewer, they're not going to understand what that means. Yeah, and there's a lot of casual viewers.
Really, it doesn't make.
Yeah.
I mean,
you're welcome, King. Okay, says I didn't see the remake. The 2016 was so bad I didn't give it a chance. Team Marvel, so maybe I'm biased. Yeah, I really like Marvel too. The quarantine gave us a lot of opportunities to like explore and branch out to different modes. And one of the things that I did with my friends was to watch a bunch of DC flicks. So, because I wasn't really familiar with it either. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I stand about that. It's like there's.
Yeah, I'm looking passer rating allowed, highest graded quarterbacks, and most people won't understand like what goes into the highest, rated quarterbacks. It's just a whole bunch of different stuff that they know about.
Yeah, Pro Football Reference has like an approximate value.
Yeah,
right, and then they try to explain that, and then it's like, yeah. So Daivon, we're trying to like. This was just an example that we used. I mean, if we want to talk about like other players too, like defenders, when we talk about like the sacks versus like the pressures, some of that stuff will matter when referring to like, okay, well, who's going to get the defensive player of the year and who's going to be like the best linebacker award or something. Like those things will eventually matter to them. But when you want to decipher who is a good player in your own perspective, again, going back to the movie analogy, telling you how well it did at the box office does not describe what the movie's about. So telling you all the stats about a linebacker or a corner or a running back, wide receiver, whatever the case may be, unless if it's like super simple, like a kicker.
Yeah, that's like easy.
That is the only thing where it's like, okay, like let me take a look at their like field goal percentage, and that'll be it. But other than that, like it's better to just watch the player.
Yep.
Because there's all sorts of context that the actual game will provide you.
Mm-hmm.
Versus like just taking a look at this stat because it's very capsulated. It's only talking about one specific scenario.
Yeah.
It's like if you want to watch them upcoming, none of these stats matter for the upcoming game.
None of it.
And when you talk about like, oh, how many wins or how many Super Bowls, like that's not a player stat.
That one gets on my nerves. You talk about any player, they bring up the Super Bowls. I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, that's a team game. You need a complete team to win a Super Bowl. I don't understand why you're bringing that up.
No one's saying Charles Haley is the best pass rusher of all time.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, but that kind of either goes to Reggie White or Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah.
Maybe Bruce Smith is in the category too. I know he's got more sacks than anyone. But sometimes even again, like that's not the best measurement. I take a look at someone else that didn't have the era to track the stats, like Deacon Jones.
Yeah.
And who knows how many sacks he actually had. So when you think about all this in context and in regards to the era, in regards to what everyone likes to call inflation, because of the era, I think there's a lot of things that go into things like that, where it's like, yeah, you can't really bring up stats anymore unless you want to bring up like other types of accomplishments. Like if we're talking like about a player's career, like, okay, well, have they won certain awards that only that position can win? So, the King is over here saying quarterback rating is very unbalanced. Yeah, they don't really describe that rating at all.
They don't. I never understood what it really all went into.
Like, how come it taps out at 158.3?
Yeah, why
how
can't
come
they go
throwing
higher?
it? How come throwing it to the dirt every single time is going to get you like a 39.6?
And
how
it's
do you
like
even get like a 0? Like you have to be completely terrible, have a bunch of interceptions, get you no passing yards and whatever. It's like, and even then, that's not an accurate representation. Like, Donnie, I don't really know who you're referring to. Who is the best? Or who is the best? Who is the best what? If you're still here, I want to get the full question. Daivon says, yeah, I was going to say that rather watch to see who's good. Right. I mean, film studies, the eye in the sky don't lie, is what a lot of coaches say.
Yep.
So, my next question to you. Oh, says, I hate when people bring up championships when it comes to Tom Brady and Michael Jordan. Again, yeah. Like, sure, they were on the team.
Yeah.
But, more so Tom Brady than Michael Jordan. Like, Tom Brady was never the whole team.
Never.
A quarterback's value is probably about like 20 to 25% at maximum if they're like at the top of their game.
Yeah.
Even then, you still have the other 75% of the team, and that's on the field. We're not even talking about coaching.
Nope.
We're not even talking about their opponents.
Yeah.
We're not even talking about the weather elements or whatever. Like, whatever motivation that they have. Joey Klein, how's it going? He says, bro, Matt Ryan's going to prove a lot of people wrong. He's throwing dang near 400 yards a game. And again, like, that can be either taken in a positive way or a negative way, whatever the case may be. Like, we just want to know that, hey, like, when Matt's on the field, that we have a chance to win.
Yeah.
And that's all it comes down to.
Yep. And if you even look at what's the game-winning drive since he's came into the league, he's up there. So obviously, people don't give him credit for that either.
No, I mean,
that's a good stat right there.
Another stat that I saw is that in the Mike Smith era from 2008 to 2013, right? Every winning season that we had in those seasons, which is basically up to 2012, we wouldn't have had a winning record if not for Matt Ryan's fourth quarter comebacks and game-winning drives.
What?
Even the seasons we went 13-3.
Dang.
In those seasons, he had 6 of each.
Matty Ice for a reason.
Delayed Jay, how's it going? Honestly, I know Matt is gone. I know Matt going to do his thing. I'm just more worried about the defense. Yeah, but again, what we said, coaching matters, and we got the coaches, and we definitely got the opponent now to really kind of drive home, like, hey, like especially in context from like the preseason game, like back when they were healthy, like they had a loaded team, and we didn't really know like where our feet were. So
didn't, honestly.
So yeah, this is gonna have a good turn for the better for us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Would that go into my next question, or my question? It would go into.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. What are the keys to beating the Dolphins this week?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of kept it short because they haven't given me a whole lot to really like. Okay, let's break this down. Like we're going up against the Bills or something.
Yeah, we gotta actually do this.
So all I said is that, hey, don't take them lightly though.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, Matt was saying that, oh, hey, like they need to find the consistency like beyond the first quarter of the game. And hey, like what's been the story of us so far on offense? Especially getting through the second half.
Mm-hmm.
We just got to keep finishing drives with scores. And once we keep doing that, like we get the ball like on average like 7 or 8 times a game. So I think we can win with like 20 points, but that's not the problem. The problem is I want to put my foot on their throat and make sure they know who's boss.
Yep.
And the only way we're going to do that is if we stop fumbling on the goal line situation. Hayden Hurst,
right?
Mike Davis,
holding the ball way out here. I'm like, come on, man.
You're not LaShawn McCoy.
No, don't. It's like,
okay, the defense is a key. Yeah, that is definitely the case. Like if for those that want to say like, oh man, like Miami's trash right now, we still got to do our job and take the trash out to the curb.
Yeah,
which means that we still got to do our job.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the trash will sit there at their own spot, and we didn't take care of it. So,
have to
get your stuff done. Don't lay off the gas pedal, and win the game.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of there's showing a lot less weaknesses on our team now. And there's not a whole lot of people that are really seeing that, especially outside the view from Atlanta.
Yeah.
And whatnot. How's it going, Bubba Gump? I just mentioned your movie earlier. Miami played all their starters in that preseason game. Falcons didn't play any starters in the preseason game. Yeah, that's another key point.
Hanging with them.
Yeah, like the score was 37-17 or something.
Yeah.
Daivon said offense scoring more touchdowns instead of field goals. Yeah, I mean, look, I think I saw this before. Like in the 16 offensive possessions that we had that got to the end, that got inside the 20, I think we've scored on 12 of them already.
The red zone efficiency is amazing.
And
Arthur Smith.
Yeah, Arthur Smith did that in Tennessee last year.
Way.
He had like 78%, and now he's almost doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is something that you really want to see.
Yep.
Yeah, better protection of the O-line and what y'all just said. Yeah, speaking of O-line, I want to give Jake Matthews more credit, man. He is among the short list of players. Like, that many tackles that have had less than 10 pressures and 0 sacks given up.
Yep, he's doing his thing. People before the season was like, oh, he's trash. He's washed. Like, that boy is doing his thing.
How's it going, Keith? Said, not a Falcon fan, but I just got a question for the fan base. All right. Do you guys seriously see your team ever going back to the Super Bowl in the near future? Just a question. These don't get better. In the near future, let's see. What are your thoughts?
Honestly, it'll have to be like these next 2 years. Just because Matt Ryan is getting up there in age, and if Terry Fontenot said that, the time we're trying to rebuild while we're trying to get better and stay competitive. So this team is capable, just like any other team, of making a run. I don't really think the NFC has a juggernaut like the AFC does, but Cardinals are, but they scored 17 that one game against the 49ers. There's always a formula. So I do think if this team is going to go back to the Super Bowl, it has to be the next 3 years.
Yeah, it's kind of we have to set up a window of time, and that's what we're doing this year. Because I don't know how long Brady's actually going to be there in Tampa.
Like, Jesus.
But even if he's still there, they can't keep the rest of the team there forever.
Yeah, salary cap.
Someone's going to retire. Someone's going to ask for more money. Someone's going to get traded. Someone's going to get hurt, and there's going to be some variables. Some coaches are going to leave. It's like, and that's the poaching the window of opportunity that they're going to eventually lose.
Yep.
This is why it's so hard to create a dynasty nowadays because of how much money's being thrown around and whatnot. It's like the Chiefs almost had that opportunity, but now they only invested in their offense.
Their offensive line.
The fault
that.
Where, and guess
their
what? Now they're exactly. So, yeah, I mean, you want to talk about like defensive problems?
Jeez, man.
They are somehow worse than both the Dolphins and the Jaguars and the Lions.
That's crazy.
Lions are the only 0-5 team in the league, and the Chiefs still have a worse defense.
Yeah, you're not going to win many games like that.
Okay, I'm a Seahawks fan here on Fantasy Football Research. Man, I'm sorry. We're no longer that kind of stream anymore, man. I mean, like I said, like I can quickly answer some questions, but
you can still throw out questions.
But that's not what we're here for. Like one says, before the Falcons even went, people was already jinxing the Falcons about losing the Super Bowl back in 2007 when I was coming up.
Yeah.
Excuse my language, but I think that they can go this year if they do it for the Hawks. Yeah, I mean, that's another question that we're going to ask at some point too, probably next week.
Yeah.
Like, can the Falcons ride off the momentum of the other teams?
Yeah.
And I wait for that answer. So, all right. So, did you want to ask your next question, or?
Yeah. So my next question is: do you think Derrick Henry deserves the MVP as of now?
Yeah, and all I had to say on it was, what week was it again?
Weeks right now. I think it's week 6.
Week 7?
Week 7? Is it? Yeah. Because the bye week. I get confused.
Yeah, we're not even halfway into the season yet. For the MVP discussions, it's
a little later.
We're pumping them. Oh yeah, like week 17 or something like that.
I just asked that because the way he's playing right now is, I mean, he's this. I ain't gonna say the single reason because it's a team to win, but he is carrying the Titans by himself. Like Julio's not really performing. No, he's out, and AJ Brown's out. He's not really his top self right now. So that defense is iffy. So
yeah, I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I really want to award Derrick Henry for everything that he deserves. But at the same time, we're not even nearly finished with the season yet.
Yeah, somebody could come up out of nowhere and lead their team to the playoffs that you never would have thought.
Like, I mean, that's generally a quarterback's award too, which I don't really like that.
Yeah.
I mean, because the last non-quarterback I think that won it was in 2012 with Adrian Peterson.
Oh, he did win that.
So everything from that point on, it was always the quarterback. But then you look at like offensive player of the year, and even then, sometimes some quarterbacks get it.
Yeah, when Matt Ryan got it, he got offensive and MVP that year.
Yeah, like that could have went to like Brady or something because I know that he was like second place in the MVP votes, but no. And like that's not something that's like a Pro Bowl or something. That's not like a top 100 list where it's like, oh, hey, the players are going to vote or the fans are going to vote. Like, no, like important people in those positions are going to vote that.
Yep.
So it's the Bucs and the Seahawks has bad defense in the Falcons top 10 right now. Really? And what metric?
Is it because of the bye week? I'd ask that. it may be because we don't give up yards.
So
I'm interested in.
Yeah, Daivon saying Derrick Henry should have won it last year. I agree, kind of.
Yeah.
It's
I
again,
mean,
it's always tough because like as much as you want to give these awards out, they always give it to the quarterback.
quarterbacks.
It's like who else got snubbed last year was T.J. Watt when they gave the defensive player of the year to Aaron Donald.
That one I didn't understand. TJ was going off.
I'm like, if you're the guys looking at the stats, what stats did you look at?
It just make it fan favorite.
Right, like Pro Bowl votes, and even then, like I think the Steelers are going to have a more passionate fan base than the Rams. Sorry about all your Rams fans out there, but the Steelers fans, they love to travel, and they're almost everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jay says, Derrick Henry gets like 40 carries each game. Yeah, he's almost like as much as a quarterback throws.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, King. Speaking of King, though, yeah, it's tough to crown anyone an award right now.
Yeah.
When it's about stuff like that, like because if this was a case, like Russell Wilson would have so many MVPs because of how well he plays in the first 5 weeks.
Yeah, that's true.
Like the Cardinals can probably have one with Kyler Murray giving it to him. Josh Allen could probably also have one at this point. Mm-hmm. Patrick Mahomes, and like in terms of value, like he's probably the only reason as to why they're not winless because of that defense.
Yeah.
So again, there's a lot of games left to be had, and the word value means has so many different meanings. Ooh, excuse me, in this context. So.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Oh man, my eyes just jumped up. I was like, "Whoa!"
What was that?
Because I was just looking down for my phone.
Something on my phone.
Okay. So my next question, this is going to be a more juicier one. All right. If you've never played football at a professional capacity, how much weight should your opinions hold in comparison to those that did?
I think, and my answer to that was you can't compare. Like the people that play professional football, if they have an opinion about professional football, that just outweighs your opinion if you've never played, in my opinion. Like Stephen A. Smith, when he says stuff about this and this, and everybody's like, yeah, Stephen A. said it. Like, okay, like if he said something about basketball and Jalen Rose said something about basketball, you would always go to where Jalen Rose said. But I think if you're looking for like media clicks and stuff like that, it's always going to be the popular person.
Right. I mean, I bring this up because there's been a couple of times where it's like, well, you didn't play the game, so you don't know what you're talking about. Like, okay, well, first of all, like just because I didn't play, that doesn't mean that I didn't want to play.
Yeah,
that doesn't mean that I had the circumstance to play.
Yeah,
that doesn't mean that my family wanted me to play.
Exactly.
It's like
in a professional, like when you ask this, like if a professional played, I'm like, when it comes to if you played in the NFL or NBA, your opinion, it's still an opinion regardless. We should keep that in mind. But it's like yours is educated, But if it comes to normal, you played high school football, you didn't like that, it doesn't matter,
So yeah, like the high school and college level is also what I was considering when I said professional capacity.
Okay. Nah, in my opinion, it's like the professionals that retire and then they become sports announcers. Like if they have an opinion, say, okay, you played in the NFL, but college and high school, I think you can just get the same opinion. You learn different stuff in the NFL and professional like that.
Right. Do you think the position matters? Like what position they played?
Are you talking about like if they play quarterback in high school and college, if they have a, Nah, I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean,
quarterback is obviously going to be the most knowledgeable.
Should, right?
Yeah, he should, unless Jamarcus Russell or something.
But yeah, like this was something I wanted to bring up because after all these different discussions, like people over here like us, like sure, like we generally do want our opinions out there.
Mm-hmm.
and we want to see like what happens to it.
Yeah.
Should we be like the end all be all? Not really. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but as long as you're developing your own position, like if you're
Mm-hmm.
on your own position on a topic, like sometimes it's not just about being right, it's sometimes about just getting it right.
Yeah.
So if you think about it that way, sure, like guys like you and I can talk.
Mm-hmm.
We can talk football and we can have a general idea of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's like when it gets to like the complicated like coach talk,
Yeah.
it's like,
It's,
okay, well,
but even
I
then, it's
can't
like,
even think of an
yeah.
example, but
Uh-huh.
what are you saying?
I was like, even then, it's like once you get to that, a general fan isn't gonna know to ask that question, or they're not gonna understand your opinion. If a coach is speaking and they're saying all type of plays and running routes and stuff like that, it's like I don't know. It's like it's different. Like Tony Romo, some of the stuff he says, I'm like, I don't know what you mean by that. He's like, the quarterback's gonna run a one of this and they come over here. I'm like, yeah. Is that QB
just
speak?
draw it on your screen right in front of you, like
Yeah,
Madden did, man.
show me, man. like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's also like, because sometimes certain players that grow up to have, or that like once they stop playing the game and they end up having like a position or something, and then they're kind of paid to go a little bit different than what they might normally think otherwise,
Mm-hmm.
or they're just too influenced by like who employed them to
Yeah.
really say what they want to say.
Yeah.
Like I take a look at someone like John Madden, for example. Like with his knowledge of the game, it's still there in his head
Mm-hmm.
because obviously been a Super Bowl winning coach and obviously had like his time in the booth, obviously had his time like trying to bring up a game for people to play so they can better understand the game, and then that was ruined. But aside from that,
yeah.
like sometimes like how old they are, it doesn't always compare. Like sometimes they want to go back to a previous era and be like, well, this was how it was back then, maybe this
Yeah.
should work over here now too, like
Mm-hmm.
even if it's like 20 years later. I think there's some things like that where it's like, okay, maybe you need to be caught up with the game a little bit more.
Yep.
But outside of that, there hasn't been too many people that didn't really agree with the same thing.
Yeah.
Like when it was something so subjective,
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, hey, well, this guy's number one at this position. So,
yeah.
Jermaine, how's it going? Yo, 5 versus my 5 in at LA. Let's go. Oh, I think that is that a
You talking about hooping?
yeah. I think so.
I think is he talking?
Man, if you can clarify, that'd be great. So yeah, like I still think that obviously you guys as the viewers have been here for okay, but obviously you guys here as the viewers has been acclimated to people like Mad Mike and people like K Styles and Juke Talk Sports and everyone else, and I can go on, right? Like those opinions of a certain team, they still matter a lot because of like we know how the media has skewed the narrative of other teams.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when you take a
Yeah.
look at our like us, for example, there's very probably almost on one hand, can you find anyone that's like trying to actively defend us?
Yeah.
For like all the negative slander that we get in the media, and that just the punchline that becomes, oh well, you guys are just gonna choke the game away.
You say anything, they
So
bring up 28-3 is
exactly, I'm like at that point, yeah, I don't really care what you have to say anymore. I don't care that you've played. If you're not going to be respectful, and if you're not going to be accurate,
yeah. It's
and
like
say
if you have to bring that up, you don't have a point.
so. Sometimes it's about like, or prove it. Yeah, King's over here saying that's exactly why I don't watch ESPN. It's almost like they try hard to not do research. I don't know what it is, but it's
they
crazy.
try hard, except for like when they bring up a random stat, like when they say like it's been since he got it'll be a crazy stat, like he got a new car since he threw this passing touchdown. It's like, wait, how did you even know that? Like, how'd you bring that up?
Yeah, this quarterback is 15-0 when he eats his Wheaties for breakfast.
Yeah, I'm like, well, how do you know that? Like, okay.
All right, so last question for you before you head out. This might take up the rest of the hour that you have. Again, the last juicy story. It says ESPN is nothing but a soap opera.
Yeah.
You should have tuned into your soaps every week or whatever. That Ryan will be gone next year if things don't change. What do you mean? Like the salary cap wise?
Yeah, I was like,
I'd be careful or try to explain what you mean by that. Yeah, like what I was saying about Jordan, because for real, Bill Russell should be the GOAT. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of people that,
man,
and
stats,
man,
from back then.
Right. Everyone else that were on those teams, they can have like the same amount of rings or championships as Jordan.
Yeah.
Don't mean that they were the best in their position.
Yep. So championships don't really.
They don't tell you the full spectrum. Backup players, they get the Super Bowl ring still.
Yeah.
Are they the best backups in the league? No.
I would even say that about NBA. NBA is, if you don't bring in statistics and what they show you, you're not going to get a good picture on like who's the best or this, because Bill Russell had 51, 30 rebounds a game. It's like he was playing against, you got to realize who he was playing against too, compared to players like now. People won't understand that.
Yeah. I think it was Bill Russell that one of my friends was trying to like talk about, like, oh, well, this person has. There's some other basketball player that has more championships than Jordan.
Yeah, it was either him or Elijah Wan. I can't, when you're talking about the GOAT.
Yeah, like if you want to bring up the GOAT and you want to bring up the championships, there's someone else that technically has more or as many as Jordan.
I know Bill Russell.
So maybe that's it then. It's been a while since that conversation has been had by a friend of mine, but point is that no one else is talking about other people as the GOAT. And to be fair, like the sport of basketball and the sport of baseball, there's a lot less players on the field in regards to. There's technically more movement, but there's not a whole lot of moves.
Yeah.
If you get what I'm saying. Like baseball, soccer, like there's a lot of movement happening. Well, baseball not as much unless the play's actually happening, but still, like soccer, basketball, those are constantly nonstop action. Very few times do they really slow down. Hockey is another one, but these more chill sports like baseball and the football intervals in between each play, like if you condense it down to like from the start of the play to the end of the play, and that's it, a football game is only about like 10 minutes.
Yeah, honestly.
So, like, that's crazy. All right, so Frankie's saying that meaning he will be hurt with the weak O-line getting him sacked all the time.
I said the O-lines are playing better. I would say that. I would look for them to concede.
I would almost say that they're good.
Yeah, in my opinion, I think they're good. A lot of people won't think that, but they're giving
Jake
him enough time to throw the ball.
Just talked about him. Jalen Mayfield. We've been saying praises about him.
McGarry is the only one that you could say that's been playing suspect lately, but he's injured.
Or maybe Matt Hennessy, the center.
Yeah, but
it's like 3 out of the 5 positions. Yeah, like 3 out of the 5 positions are pretty secure. So,
yeah, Matt Ryan didn't get sacked a single time last game.
No, like
after giving up 7.
All the O lines or all of the D lines that we faced, he's not been the most sacked quarterback.
Yep, you would expect that coming into the season. looking at that schedule.
King says, I agree, but single player sports are fair game to bring up number of championships. Yeah, I think when there's less people on the team, but even then, like the sport of basketball, especially nowadays, like you can create so many super teams. It's almost unfair.
Yeah. Yes.
And then like the rosters, they're smaller. So those are only about like what 15 players or something on a roster.
Yeah, 5 people allowed in the court all time. So
right.
You got
5. And then how many on the bench?
Thing is, you have up to 6.
You know how easy it is to find 5 good basketball players in any city in the country.
Yeah.
And then put them and then sign them up and put them on a team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a lot less players and there's a lot less people that can be NFL players in comparison. Because you gotta have
I would even say
build.
Even to that, it still is a team, like you said. Like.
Okay. Anyways, yeah, the last question, I think we're okay. I don't think I've actually answered it yet. What is your definition of a Hall of Fame player?
So to be a Hall of Fame player, in my opinion, you have to play consistently good, obviously, but you have to. For me, if you come into an organization, kind of like, let's say, Matt Ryan, right? How about this? I'll give my opinion on why Matt Ryan's a Hall of Fame player, and you go from there. So he came into an organization. Not only that, he was one of the first rookies to, consistently be good after starting his first year. You don't really see that nowadays. And he, like when you see him play game-winning drives, he was consistently good every single year. And you just don't see him, he brought the 2016 team to the Super Bowl, won an MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, and he's 8th all time, and probably when he's said and done, he'll be 5th all time. So I think in order to do that, you have to really transcend your team, and lift them up as a quarterback, just this example. But pretty much just transcend the team, make them better just because you're there. And not only that, do it consistently over a long term. And I think, of course, you always add in accolades and awards and statistics and stuff like that. But you just have to be consistent with it, in my opinion.
Okay. So you brought that up about a quarterback. What about like a defender?
Like a defender, see, that one's a little bit more difficult. I think, like, it's like if you watch a game, like Aaron Donald, you could say he's a Hall of Famer right now. The stuff that he's done. He's impacted the game when he's on the field. And I think that goes into big time. This is, saying this, but TJ Watt, when he's probably said and done, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. It's early, but, he impacts the game. He's on the field, the defense, he just lifts the defense up.
Yeah, it was actually kind of a follow-up question, if I can get to it. Mm-hmm. Like, how early could we describe some player? Because a lot of people are already putting the mantle on Mahomes.
Yeah, that one is. I think what people try to do is they try to take what's going on right now and say he's going to be doing that for 10 years or 7 years, But it's really hard to say that,
Right. I mean,
the game changes. Defense
and the future is always uncertain
a little bit. Yeah, and injuries never.
Right, like the way that his contract is set up definitely helps him.
Yeah, 10 years.
Well, like the way that it's structured is that the next year is fully guaranteed, but the years after that they're not.
Oh, really?
So that money is technically not in the books yet. It's so confusing to explain how an NFL contract works.
Yeah,
it's like sure they'll throw up a bunch of money as like an extension.
You'll see it, yeah.
Also, that money does not exist or does not matter.
Yeah.
Like when I thought about like the Taysom Hill extension from a while ago, like in this offseason, like they threw a bunch of money at him, but I was like, wait a minute, you don't actually have that money. So
I thought, that's what I was saying. I was like, they give him that much, but yeah, NFL contracts are weird.
So like the next year is fully guaranteed as so long as he like completes or like does some sort of like meets certain requirements in the contract. So prove it, saying it's just simply money laundering. He was also saying, I was concerned about Cordell Patterson we use as the season goes. We're going to need a consistent rotation of probably 4 backs. I don't want to run CP into the ground. Yeah, Eric
Gallman
Medell
looked
is
good.
responding to that, saying, I think we need to use Gallman a little bit more than we do.
Yeah,
I mean, because
I think he
Cordell
looked really
Patterson
good.
does way too much for us.
He really does, like Christian McCaffrey type stuff. I'm like, whoo.
Not even
You
that,
saw
because
what I
like
did?
because he plays special teams too.
Oh, he is the kick returner. So
He's the gunner on
yeah. Oh,
punts.
and the gunner. Oh my
Yes.
goodness, I forget about that. So he is doing every single thing. Dang.
Like, you want to talk about a 4-down back?
Like literally every down after that.
And then people wanted to make him like RB1 or wide receiver 1. I'm like, no, don't give him that mantle yet. He physically can't take it.
Yeah. So that is a good
I'm
point.
sorry, but he's not like a Derrick Henry who somehow gets better as the game progresses.
Yeah, that is.
I think it's because like everyone else is tired and they just want the game to be over with.
And they're like, this dude is 250 pounds. I want to tackle him.
Yeah, so maybe that's the reason as to why that's the case.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't want to put too much on a player's plate because we have tried to do that in the past and we haven't won with that formula.
Yeah.
Right. And again, I think back to 2015, we gave all the passes to Julio. He had one of the best statistical seasons a wide receiver could ever have in NFL history. We win 8-8.
Yeah.
So what did it do?
Doesn't translate.
And then the next year, guess what? We learned our lesson. Kyle Shanahan learned his lesson. And Julio only had as many touchdowns as Taylor Gabriel that year.
Yeah.
You know why? Because he wasn't the focal point. And that kind of gets into your next question that you were going to ask me, which is...
Which one? Sorry. Oh, yeah. What is the ideal wide receiver for an Arthur Smith offense?
Yeah. So my ideal wide receiver for an Arthur Smith offense is when they don't have to be the number one guy. Hear me out. Because we've been apparently asking for that for so long.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? I think that when we go back to the other seasons, right? We go back to 2016. Julio was very iffy in a couple of those games. I think there was a couple of games where he had like 1 catcher, had like 2 catches, had 3 catches.
Yeah.
Sometimes he was used as just simply a decoy.
Yeah. It was annoying.
And so when that's the case, like, sure, you can have a role, and that doesn't necessarily mean you have the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So his role was having all the defense draw the attention to him so that other people can eat. That's why we had so many targets, or like we had 13 different people that touched the ball and had a receiving touchdown.
Yeah.
Because he didn't have to be the guy that was getting the ball all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I take a look at now in a similar scheme, like we won without a number one receiver. Yeah. Last year, we technically won a couple of games without a number one receiver.
Yeah.
And at least we were in the games.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't really seem as if we were missing or had a big hole or looked like we were playing with 10 players.
Mm-hmm.
So Daivon says Matt has a legit MVP season because he literally carried the team. Right. Aaron McDowell says, do you think we have a chance to take second place in the division? Yeah, I mean, we're going to see how our season goes. Mm-hmm. It's hard to think about stuff like that, like so far ahead of time when we haven't gotten past week 7.
Yeah, I can say that the Panthers have proven me right that they were overrated and that their schedule was the reason why they were at the beginning of the season. I do still think they're a decent team, but I think people are overhyping them to be like, oh, they can contend with the Bucs. Like, no, they're not ready for that yet. They are a good team, though. They're getting there.
And when I talk about the window of time, when I talked about the Bucs, I was also kind of fearful for the Panthers too, because their window is almost about to start the same as ours.
Yeah, honestly.
The Saints, I don't really see it.
Nah, it's salary cap and stuff like that. They pretty much have our problem, but no quarterback. Right.
So it's like, and they're still trying to be good there, which
they deploy 2 quarterbacks sometimes. Jameson.
yeah, it's so confusing as to what
It
they're
is.
trying to do and how they're trying to build themselves up for the future.
It is.
But um, yeah, I mean, we meant to keep this short. We just hit the hour mark, and I don't know how you're feeling.
No, I could do 30 more minutes if we finish the show.
Okay. Because I didn't want to keep too long because I did
Yeah,
that
that's fine.
last time. Okay. So yeah. So to answer my own question
Mhm.
about what defines a Hall of Fame player to me, I asked myself two questions. The first is it possible to tell a story about the franchise they played for and not mention them when talking about that era?
That's good.
Question is, if Julio retired, do we still have to pay him? I think so.
Hmm.
There's all sorts of niches and nuances in their contracts that.
Yeah, the NFL makes sure.
Sure. Yeah, the dead money and all that kind of stuff. It's confusing, but yeah, like the money that goes to retired players, I think they still have to pay that because I'm thinking back to like Marshawn Lynch, right, when he
Mm-hmm.
retired as a Seahawk and then tried to go and sneak under his way, like under the ground, and wanted to head over to Oakland at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember like what the full details were to that, but people were also trying to say that about like Calvin Johnson's situation, seeing if he
Yeah, with the
retired
Lions.
just to get like just hand behind the back, just trying to make a backhand trade
Yeah.
to get somewhere else, Um, but yeah, I still think that would be the case, and it might be like an extra $14 million or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The King is saying I don't think so. I want to know your reasoning on that and see if I'm like trying to explain it right.
And I think he's if he retired this year, I think we would start to pay him, but next year I don't think you don't because the
Okay,
Titans
he's
just
saying
that.
I think if a player retires, you don't have to pay him.
Sometimes it's written in the contract, pretty much like
Yeah, like
guaranteed
we
money
don't
or
have the contracts
non-guaranteed. Yeah, it's like
and even then they try to make that as purposely confusing as possible so that a lawyer
yeah,
and only a lawyer can read that and
can
understand
read
it.
that.
But when it comes to like the trade,
Mhm.
the guaranteed money involved in that, and then he retires for another team, like does that responsibility go to that other team?
Yeah,
As I think he should retire because he's hurt and he's hurting us. Um,
uh, fans
when you
are.
say hurting us, are you just referring to like the money? Or are you referring to like the
Oh, I
record
thought
of
he
the
was talking about
Titans?
like. Oh, I thought he was talking about like the emotion, just seeing him play and making these catches. It's like, man, I miss Julio. He's hurt me like that.
Yeah, I mentioned this to someone else before because they were like, "Man, I miss Julio." I'm like, "Okay, well, did you also miss that he only caught two other passes
Yeah,
besides that one, and then he
true,
left the game early for a hamstring injury?"
true. I think it's
Did you miss
nostalgia.
when that happened too? Because that's what kept
Mm.
happening when he was in Atlanta.
Yeah, man,
Did
seeing
you
it in
miss?
Tennessee now.
Yeah, did you miss what happened when AJ Brown went off in the second half because Julio wasn't there?
Yeah,
Did you miss the fact that Julio is like the third best weapon on the Titans and he's not even the best receiver?
that's crazy.
Just
I think we got
sometimes
a pretty
it's
good
just
deal
good to
now.
move
Now I
on.
think of it.
It's like
Yeah,
they're 4-2 because of Derrick Henry. They're not 4-2 because of Ryan Tannehill or Julio Jones.
yeah.
So I don't want to linger on that.
Mm-hmm.
We were told to move on. We moved on. I moved on.
Yeah.
You kidding me? I had a poster like right there on my wall about him.
You're like,
It's
yep,
not there anymore because he's not on our team.
yeah. See, do you agree with these people that cover the Falcons saying, well, I think they're trying to get on a high horse and be like, oh, I don't know why you guys are mad. Do you think the fans are allowed to be upset of the way he left and not criticize that he's always hurt, but do you think they're allowed to be upset like comment, oh well, he's doing the same thing he did with and not saying, oh, he's amazing, he's just this amazing receiver, we love him, we're always gonna love him. I feel like people expect the fans to be like that.
So the thing is, the only people that I watch for the Falcons is basically this channel.
Oh yeah.
So
is people like, I say any names, but they're always commenting like, oh, I'm not like this. I don't understand why fans are upset and why they can't give Julio his credit that he's always done this. I'm like, fans are just in their feelings about the way he left. I think that matters more than what he, just the fact that he left.
Yeah, I mean, because there was so many people that were like, hey, like, I'd be fine if Julio went to a Super Bowl contender and then won with them because I want to see Julio get a Super Bowl ring. I want to see that enjoyment on his face.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, there comes a time where it's like, hey, like you're still a fan of the Falcons, remember?
Yeah, exactly.
You weren't a fan of just Julio Jones because you had to watch the Falcons in order to watch Julio Jones.
Julio, yep.
So you just got to remember, like, if you want to say that you're a fan of us, then say you're a fan of us. If you're just a fan of Julio, say that you're a fan of Julio, and don't get yourself attached to any particular team. Because as we've seen with some of these hot big name players, whether it was Julio Jones, whether it was Tom Brady, whether it was Stephon Gilmore recently, they can still move.
Yeah, it's not promised in this day of age.
It's let's get back to Daivon saying Hall of Fame to me is longevity and impact on the game. Yeah, impact on the game is one thing. Longevity is like the thing that really keeps a couple of these players like really tied. And
okay,
it's like,
that's perfect. Do you
how
for his comment?
Long? Yeah, go ahead.
I would say for his comment, Hall of Fame is longevity, impact on the game. So, would you put Michael Vick as a Hall of Famer?
No.
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 Why?
Because he made the impact on the game, right?
Mm-hmm. So you got one part.
Longevity? No.
You did it? No, not at all.
Because while he made an impact on the game, it was a very short impact.
Yeah.
And he obviously adapted that style of play to become a more relevant quarterback. Like when I think back to a couple of other like mobile quarterbacks in the past, like Randall Cunningham, they eventually had to change their own play style to become a quarterback that stays on the team longer. Early on in his Eagles career, he had some of the best rushing stats of all time. And then he went to the Vikings eventually and then had some of the best passing stats of all time. So
he adapted.
Right. And he adapted. Michael Vick adapted back in 2010 with the Eagles. That was his like best passing season of his career. But then ultimately, where did that leave him in the other conversations?
Yeah.
Because, he did technically play from 2001 or to 2015 with like the Steelers.
Yeah.
But what was the longevity of excellence? I think that's what you're looking for there. When it comes to the longevity of excellence, it was like 2002, like 12 games or whatever, into 2003 because he was like hurt the final four or the final 3 or 4 games. And in 2004, 2005, not really so much, 2006. Obviously, we got to skip a couple of years. 2010.
Yeah.
What else do you remember after that?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm not trying to bash him. Yeah. I rooted for him too. But at the same time, like you look back, take the nostalgia goggles, take the rose-colored glasses off, take the nostalgia goggles off, and look back at what he's done.
See that's what I was trying to ask. Do you think the impact on the game of football can get you in the Hall of Fame along with like a mediocre resume? That's why I was asking that. Because I think that's Michael Vick in a nutshell.
Right. Like, I think the Ring of Honor is something that would be good for him.
Yeah, definitely. Right.
But is he the kind of player that you would like retire his jersey for? No. We haven't even retired Deion's jersey. That's why still
Yeah.
people are wearing that.
I'm like, what the? But,
You know, like I don't think we've had any retired jerseys now that I think about it.
that's a good point.
Marcus Bell says, "How long will it be before Grant and Hawkins are starting safeties?"
I think
Uh,
Hawkins is starting, right? Because what's his name is out?
Eric
Eric
Harris.
Harris. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he's starting again. But Grant, I don't know.
Yeah, he's like Hawkins has done really fine, but
Yeah,
Grant,
he's still getting
he's
acclimated to the NFL.
yeah, like that's a Dean Pease question.
Yeah,
You know,
he'll tell you perfect.
Eric Patel says, do you think that Julio quit on his team? Like, do you think he quit on us? What do you mean, like he quit on his team?
If that's a if he quit on the Falcons, in my opinion, I would say he quit on the Falcons. It doesn't mean he hates the Falcons or anything. I think he's just said that this regime isn't. Got a new coach, got a new GM. They're still doing this. They're still taking the time to be a title contender. So I think that I'm gonna go to a team that is better. I don't know why he chose the Titans, Titans was the place, but I think he did.
That right there. I think he wanted to become a better blocker.
That was fun.
Okay, so King says my Hall of Fame is longevity, impact on the game on and off the field. That's another good point too.
Yeah.
So maybe definitely. Like his impact, like T.O.'s another example too. Because he's got all the numbers. Definitely. But why did it take him so long? So it was because of like his other like off the field antics, if you want to call it that.
Push-ups in the driveway.
How long will it be before Julio scores a touchdown? Who cares? He's not on our team. Anyways, the same week that Jacoby Myers will. Jacoby Myers has yet to score a touchdown, and he almost had a chance to get that score, and it was called back for holding.
That was funny,
man. How's it going, Todd? So, yeah, like another player that we can bring up about the Hall of Fame discussion. Hope everything's good with you, Todd, as well. Hope everyone. We got a couple people here. They're not commenting. They're more listening in. That's fine. Oh, geez. There we go. I'm sorry about that. Okay. Okay. So it says Hall of Fame again is longevity, impact on the game on and off the field, like starting a charity, giving back to football as much as football has given back to you. Like there's a lot of like Walter Payton Man of the Year awards people that I don't think are going to get in the Hall of Fame. There's a lot of candidates too. What are you thinking about?
I was reading the questions. She said, it was how many touchdown passes Matt Ryan throws this weekend. I was saying 3, probably 3.
Hopefully enough to win.
Yes, like
I don't know what number that is, but we can kind of rest assured that he's going to throw at least one.
Yeah.
It says, sounds like my man Warwick Dunn. Yeah, Warwick Dunn was phenomenal, dude. On and off the field. And it's one of those things that's like, okay, well, what? I think he's been in both Ring of Honors for both the Falcons and Bucks because I think he spent like an equal amount of time. I think he spent like 7 seasons in Tampa and 7 seasons in Atlanta, like equally.
Yeah.
I think his last year was like 2007 in Tampa.
I think so.
Because what was it? Because I think he was there when when Bobby Petrino was the coach, but I think he dipped out on Bobby Petrino because that was the kind of coach where it's like, oh my God, how did you upset work done?
Mm-hmm.
How's it going, Kenneth? Late because I watched the Braves flip on the Dodgers.
Thankfully.
Hey,
thankfully. I was getting
yeah.
nervous.
That's a good. That's a good excuse for us, you know. Proof of saying is Nick Foles a Hall of Famer?
In my opinion, no.
Okay, look. In my opinion, Donovan McNabb isn't even a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
And
it's
Nick Foles has not had the career like Donovan McNabb,
even
though he's technically won the Super Bowl.
I can't say that like it's a weird conversation because you feel like some things are getting watered down, like the like all-star games and stuff like that. I think it's getting watered down. Like I feel like they're just putting fan favorites in there, and Famer has a potential to be watered down, but you know, it's just how it goes. Like you never know, honestly, with those type of things.
So since I know this much, I know my man Matt Ryan is not rushing for 3 touchdowns like Sam Darnold.
Bro, I was like, what? He leads in receiving, bro. I don't. You would think he's doing it all for the Panthers.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to like word something. I was like, oh wait, Hall of Fame is way too big. Yeah, I mean it's kind of the case as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Like that. So it's like you're gonna have so many players like that are teetering on becoming a Hall of Famer, and then it's like someone's got to be like the bar, like someone's got to be the example for like a certain position. So Sap and Dion can get right. I don't know where that came from, but
yeah, he's like,
okay then. But so I'm going to bring up another example, you know, and I think that once this player gets in, then more players like him can get in. Devin Hester.
Yeah. Like, he impacted the game.
Because technically he's not like a receiver. Like if you look at just his bare stats on the offense or defense, you can't do that. But I mean, like, there's a punter in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, exactly.
Why can't a punt returner or a kick returner be in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
You know, Devon's bringing up another guy, Chad Johnson. The guy was dominant for his era. You could not talk about the 2000s wide receivers and not bring up Chad Johnson.
Yeah.
So, you know, like some people, they just need their appreciation while they're still on the team. You know, and also I really want to see him like fulfill that gold jacket that he created for himself on the sidelines.
Yeah.
If you remember that, future Hall of Famer 20 ?
It's like, hey, maybe be 2020.
Jesse Tuggle, yeah, like he's the bar. Like he needs to be the bar at linebacker. To be like, okay, like if your career is better than Jesse Tuggle, then you needed to get in. And Jesse Tuggle, by the way, should be in the Hall of Fame already.
Yeah.
Like I don't care whatever kind of mention or like metric that you're using in order to judge a linebacker. He's fulfilled it all.
Yep.
But I think because he's on the Falcons, people don't care.
Yeah, it's always like that. Hence the political, you know.
Yeah, Eric is trying to say that like it's BS because of something like that, you know?
Yep.
And it's like, so how much do you want to trust it? You know, it's like there's a couple of quarterbacks like Joe Namath. It's like,
yeah,
you take a look at his career. Like, wait a minute, there's been so many years, like no one remembers the Rams version of Joe Namath.
Yeah, nobody.
You know, it's like longevity of excellence matters, not just simply longevity.
Yeah.
Because then otherwise you're going to get guys like Steve DeBerg and Vinny Testaverde in the Hall of Fame. I'm like, they weren't good enough. You know, like Yeah, Hester is the all-time returner on kickoffs and puntoffs, right? Yeah, I think
Patterson's right there with kickoff return.
right. And then Hester broke Dion's
Right
record
there.
of most punt returns.
Mm-hmm.
Joe is pretty suspect in Dion. Who? You talking about Jarius? Jarius Norwood? I mean, you brought up that Jarius Norwood 2.0.
I remember that one.
Not sure who you're referring to, and I don't want to get walked into a joke. Oh, Namath. Right. Forgot about my own player that I was talking about. I mean, sure. I know that they were like 14-point underdogs against the Colts back in that time. But even then, like, there's got to be a record of excellence there. And Joe Namath's career just doesn't have it. I don't know what people were looking at. And I think maybe because of that era, because they called the plays on the field. I think like that's why like you have to like back in those times, like very few teams in the league, like maybe like the Browns. I know the Browns did, but Browns and maybe like the 49ers or whatever, like they had the radio headset in the quarterback's head to have contact with the coach on the sideline. And there's still a rule that if that breaks for the one team, then the other team has to instantly remove it from theirs too, in order to keep the game fair.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, it hasn't really been brought up because that situation hasn't happened yet. But they were just saying like, hey, like just in case this happens, we need to make sure that we're still keeping this fair. Guys like Jesse Tuggle and Chuck Smith, yeah, they need the recognition, man, and I don't know why they're not getting it. Matt is about to topple a few noteworthy records and surpass Peyton and some others like Marino. And I was just saying that Hester was Jarius Norwood 2.0 was great, but Hester was just electrifying. So many moments cheering on the special teams. I think of like Jarius Norwood and like Alan Rossum. Like those are some pretty good returners too.
You even remember a guy like Josh Cribbs had like a short-lived electronic. You know.
There was Leon Washington as well. There was Brian Mitchell. You know, yeah, awesome Rossum. Yeah, Jason Snelling. We're just gonna sit back and just start naming like some some nostalgic Falcons players. Okay, question for us. Hit us with it. Do you think Barry Sanders would have made it to the Hall of Fame if he played in today's passing first game plans? Well, yes. And the reason being is that he's one of the few running backs in history that transcends their offensive line. You know, I think everyone else is just going on a like rant, like all these bring up everybody. Yeah, Rod Coleman,
Jenkins,
DJ Duckett. But yeah, like with Barry Sanders, you take a look at his like negative rushing stats. Like if that went away, he would easily surpass Emmitt Smith. And then probably Emmitt Smith still would have surpassed him because he played so long. I think he would have like purposely went on the Cardinals for like an extra year just to get the record. Because like when you're so high up there in terms of something like that remarkable to get, I think that motivates you to keep playing. And that's kind of why I feel bad for players like Frank Gore and Adrian Peterson right now, because I think that NFL teams are trying to move on and not trying to like hurt their career or whatever. And then just kind of like leave it at that. Because like these are going to be guys that are, well, let's see. Do you think Frank Gore's a Hall of Fame?
I mean, You talking about longevity and just consistently being okay. I mean, there's been years when Frank Gore was one of the best in the league, but in my opinion, no. But see, this is where I was thinking. So is the Ring of Honor pretty much like a team's Hall of Fame? Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I really think they would make that a thing like more prevalent. You know, like Ring of Honor is more like relevant. Since Ring of Honor is one of the best to ever play for the Falcons or whatever. You know, so I think they did that. He would definitely be a 49er like Hall of Famer. You know.
Oh yeah, and I still think he is. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Got a question for you.
What are your thoughts of the state of the Falcons this season, and where do you think they'll finish? So my thoughts on how the team is right now, they're progressing, and that's all you really wanted to see. For me this year, I wanted to see that they progressed and that the rookies were impactful somewhat, and we're already seeing that. So I think that I'm still holding on to my opinion that they'll finish 10-7 and fight for a wild card spot.
Yeah. I'm glad I have to keep. I'm glad I can keep quiet.
You don't want to say
that. You think Shashan Watson will be traded this season? Well, John McClain is already trying to say that they're in the works for it right now, or sometimes this week.
Supposedly going to the Dolphins.
So right now, it's not a matter of like when, it's if but when.
Yeah.
Todd's saying that Gore should be considered because of longevity and consistency. Like, I think he's got like exactly 16,000 scrimmage yards, which is amazing. And I think that if you're Frank Gore, like, hey, keep it that way, because that's literally the standard. Like, that's literally the bar.
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially when you remember when he had Glenn Coffey. Yeah,
that's way.
Glenn Coffey shared that backfield. That was a 1-2 punch in San Francisco. Mike Singletary days, man, those were tough to watch.
Do you think a player staying, like, you know how sometimes there'll be players that stay a little bit too long and people remember that as they're like, okay, well, he looked washed at the end. His career was miserable to watch or something like that. I think it kind of taints their legacy a little bit when a player stays too long and they're not effective whatsoever.
Yeah, What when you bring up that question, what example in your head come to mind?
See, I'm not saying he wasn't effective, but Adrian Peterson, like, I feel like people like the newer, the younger people, like, the kids and maybe even teenagers for that, they don't really know Adrian Peterson was as amazing as he was. You can always look back at highlights and stuff like that, but his last couple years, you look at him and you're like, oh, he's like an average running back. But I feel like if he would have, retired, as that elite runner he was, then he would have been more, but his is different though. That's Adrian Peterson, but I think there's other, players like that stayed a little bit too long that you're remembering that part of them.
Because when you said that, I thought of Eli Manning.
It's a good one. It was rough to watch the last couple years.
Right. I know the one is, do you think Brett Favre counts in that category too? Even though like his final season or like that 2009 season was still dominant?
Yeah.
What?
I think you can name a lot of people like that.
Yeah. So they just like go in, like, of course you want to see them. Like, you want to see them succeed. You still want good things to happen to them. I think I would be too, but he seemed like he had trouble communication, that tough love type mentality. I think you were still referring to Mike Singletary. Bro was saying, hey, these young ones, they love Adrian Peterson.
I'm just going off of what I see in some comment sections. They're like, who, I know they're not, that's what you say, the average fan base, but they're like, oh, Adrian Peterson's good, but there's some people that you watch, like even Julio, they're like, oh, well, if he does bad, let's say Julio plays for 3 more years, he's just doing what he is doing right now. Like, he's not really known as Julio, as like he was on the Falcons. I feel like there's some people that will remember Julio as like, oh, the Titans Julio, or like even Randy Moss, like the Titans Randy Moss. It's just different. They were different on the
Titans Randy Moss. Wow, that's a throwback.
Yeah.
Oof.
Oh, even Chris
That's
Johnson.
almost
Chris Johnson.
that's about as obscure as the Seahawks version of Jerry Rice, man.
Yes.
Then you said then Harbaugh came in and took Cat and Navarro to the what the heck?
Navarro Bowman. What's that thing?
Okay, I don't know about you, but
Mm.
I have never liked Navarro Bowman.
Really?
I'm over here in California, and all I heard was just like praise after praise after praise. It's like, oh my goodness, like Navarro Bowman is almost as good as Patrick Willis, if not better. That's what I kept hearing.
Yeah, a lot of people did say that, but I think
Like,
he was
oh my
impactful.
god, dude!
But he was
Like,
not.
you
Patrick
took a
Willis
look at the season where he was injured, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they drafted the rookie, Chris Borland.
Mm-hmm.
He led the league in tackles that year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, was it really? And now I'm not saying that Chris Borland was a bad player, but if a rookie
You think it was overhyped?
usurped you immediately and then retired after that,
yeah,
I'm sorry, but
he
it's like,
was
I think
overhyped.
that your defense was like, and then he went to Oakland and it did nothing.
Nothing.
I'm like, come on,
He,
like
disappeared.
you got to understand that Navarro Bowman was he was a good linebacker, but he wasn't the Hall of Famer type player that Patrick Willis was.
Yeah.
Like, no, don't put them in the same category.
Yeah, people try to do that.
And then with Kaepernick, there's a whole conversation about that, like on the field.
Yeah,
first of all,
conversation on its own.
Yeah, it's hard to really say. It's like, oh well, like his career wouldn't have happened if not for that hit from like Jolon Dunbar on Alex Smith. It wasn't so much of a matter. It was like, oh hey, well Kaepernick beat him out in practice or whatever. Like, oh Alex Smith was doing bad. Like, no, like the team was doing well. Alex Smith almost had like the best season of his career at that point, and then he had one injury, and then they stuck with him for the rest of his career. They stuck with Kaepernick.
It's like a different comparison, but for me, Kaepernick was the Jeremy Lin of the NFL, but a little bit more sense. He went to the Super Bowl, but it's different. But he kind of was that. Like he just disappeared a little bit for other reasons.
Prove it. What?
I think there's like conversation up there.
Trying to, man, my chat thing keeps moving. Hey, Daivon, you're mentioning all these other players. I don't even know what you're referring to at this point. Farr's rookie season was probably his best, only because he was unknown and still on the Falcons. Yeah, his first pass was to himself, and then his next pass was to his opponent. And then, Jerry Glanville kept calling him Mississippi because it was a whole controversy of whether or not he even wanted him on the team. So then they traded him because, like, the Packers general manager at the time, they wanted to draft him, but I think, like, he was just, like, a couple picks later. So it's like, hey, like, I want your guy, and I'm going to give you a first-round draft pick for him, and then that was the story. And then, again, like, he was another guy. It's like, hey, if Don Mikowski doesn't get injured against the Bengals, does Favre's career even happen? Do you guys think the Falcons' running game is getting better? Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
If the offensive line is getting better, then the running game is going to get better substantially, too. Like, people were saying, like, Mike Davis isn't a good running back. No. Like, Mike Davis was constantly a victim to the offensive line struggling.
He really was.
And he was also, like, a victim of just blatant consistency.
Yeah.
It was so obvious as to what the Falcons are doing on first down. And other teams, they really picked up on that. That's why we kept getting in a bunch of like 2nd and 9 or 2nd and 11, 2nd and 13 situations because they kept running him, even though they didn't really set up anything in order to like hide it. I was like, dude, what are you doing?
It's crazy because they were bringing that up that Mike Davis is more of like a schematic runner. He'll run towards the designated blocking area, but Cordell Patterson would like cut back, and find his own holes. I think they're two. That's why Cordell is a little bit more successful. But Mike Davis,
Yeah, he's gonna find his role later on in the season too.
Yeah.
And he's still good out in the open as a receiving
Mm-hmm.
back too.
Mm-hmm.
Megatron got the first ballot despite being on an unsuccessful last consecutive team. Stu Safford and Tron didn't bring them home, but Megatron is a really cool name. So he deserves it, but put Tuggle in good. What did I just say there? But put Tuggle in too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, what's going on here? Was touted as Ray Lewis. Yeah, like
he really was.
I hated that. I kept hearing that over here.
Mm-hmm.
I do think the addition of Anquan Bolden from Baltimore really helped out a physical dog mentality on offense. Alex Smith was duped twice by more athletic, exciting quarterbacks. Yeah, and I think that before I get to what I think, Eric says I think that Alex Smith didn't get a fair chance in San Francisco or Kansas City. I think he had a fair chance in Kansas City.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
He had a couple of years of, of getting into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
That 2017 Chiefs team was good. It was just at that point, Andy Reid still had problems with managing the clock.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know what was going on in those playoff games, but if he's overrated, Clay Matthews overrated. Navarro Bowman?
Yeah. Clay Matthews is different.
First of all, they played two different types of linebackers.
Yeah.
All right, we're not comparing apples to oranges over here.
Mm-mm.
Second of all, yeah, Clay Matthews was that dude.
Yeah.
On that Packers team, like there was no other pass rush outside of Clay Matthews, and he still kept getting there.
Yeah.
And then they brought guys eventually in like Julius Peppers and whatnot to be on the other side. And then that's when you really got to see the dominance of those teams.
Mm-hmm.
But RG3 and Devin Young, or goodness gracious, RG3 and Vince Young, because on my side of things, like the names are so close together.
Yeah.
RG3 and Vince Young was the most disappointing players. At least we got to see some glimpses of like excellence with RG3.
Yeah.
But man, I wanted Vince to become Steve McNair 2.0. Yeah, but I also wanted Vince Young to become his own player too.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes that's the mentality that you want to have. It's like I don't want this player to become the next version of a past player. I want this player to become this player.
Mm-hmm.
Because people are trying to say like, oh, hey, I want Lamar Jackson to be the next Michael Vick. He doesn't have to be the next Michael Vick. Because you know why? Lamar Jackson's actually trying to be the focal point of the offense. He's trying to learn how to be a quarterback. He's trying all this other stuff. Yeah. Michael Vick didn't really do that. So
I'm going up there.
That Texas versus US championship game, that 2006 Rose Bowl, man.
Yeah.
That was a whole they made so many documentaries about that game. Alex Smith wouldn't throw the long ball. He refused. Okay. Well, first get rid of that guy. Maybe. I mean, it's not like he couldn't.
Yeah.
Mahomes was just dazzling in practice, though. Yeah, I mean, that's...
Yeah, he beat him out. Mahomes.
Alex Smith was too efficient. I mean, okay, well, what is the problem here now? Because Alex Smith is efficient. Yeah, that's not a knock, though. Teddy Bridgewater is efficient right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to put him on, the bottom tier list of quarterbacks that are playing right now just because he's playing efficient.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably, average.
Yeah.
But hey, if this version of average is still good enough to win games, then maybe he's kind of above that average. I think that the average symbol is you're not good enough to win with him, but you're not bad enough to win without him or whatever. I don't know if that makes sense, but
yeah, in the middle.
Edges and oranges to inside apples at linebacker. Definitely too busy from positions. I had a hard time reading that, but I'm just going to move on. It's crazy. I just realized that this year Jackson Tuggle is Grady Jarrett's dad. Yeah. That doesn't get brought up at all. I think like the only people that have.
Wait, that's real? Like he really is his dad?
You didn't
I
know?
did not know. I did not know that.
Oh man.
What?
Consider yourself today years old, man.
Oh. Yeah, I never knew that.
Man, Connie, way to spoil it for him, man.
Yeah, thank you. Nah, I needed some. Thank you. That's
like the only people that were talking about that was maybe the AJC a couple years ago.
yeah.
But the thing about that is like I don't know what type of father he's been to Grady.
Yeah. I also have a question. Is Matt Ryan married to Arthur Smith's daughter? I don't know if that's true or not. That's not true.
It's never been true.
I don't. I'm these little rumors. I'm like, I don't know.
No,
Right.
Sarah, I think they were in the same college.
Okay.
I think they were college couples.
Mm-hmm.
like they knew each other long before he was even in the league.
Yeah.
And long before he was even in this position. Like he didn't just get married, by the way.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, I don't know what is going on. Goodness gracious, man. What's going on here? Jeez, okay. Andy switched to a game manager to a coin flip lottery ticket type player that can cash out at any time is kind of the difference. Like Andy Reid, Mahomes can hide flaws on defense. Well, not really anymore.
Yeah.
Talk about that awesome lineage.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Okay, so from a different mother than his current wife. For Jesse, so they moved on from the relationship, is what you're saying? Well, it's not like Grady Jarrett didn't have any kind of father figures or mentors, because he had Ray Lewis and he had like basically the Ravens defense in order to kind of like prop him up as a child. Pruitt said the long ball come with picks. He wouldn't throw it up and let Tyreek go get it. I would kind of double check that.
Yeah, the only thing you could really say is Mahomes does it a lot, and he will just throw it up there. He literally just said, sometimes I do that. Tyreek's down there somewhere.
Okay, Eric now says, do you guys think we can beat Tampa in Atlanta? It's all about the momentum at that point. Yeah, we got to see what our team is looking like. Definitely. We got to see like who's healthy for us.
Mm-hmm.
Because
you have to play a complete game. You can't play I'm gonna come back once they're up 21 like they did last time. Play a complete game from beginning to
end. This is something I don't really know.
If that's true, my mind's gonna explode. Man, I'm like, what is going on?
That's a good thing you stuck around this long, because otherwise you wouldn't have known that, man.
I wouldn't have known. I would have been like, what the? Somebody got to check on that. That would be.
Man, yes. If someone can do us a favor and like Google like Grady Jarrett's like family tree or whatever,
just great NFL players.
Yeah.
Like what the?
Yeah, man. Ed Reed is his cousin or something.
Yeah, it's like what? You're crazy.
Okay, Flint, how's it going? Says, what do you think about the Falcons not playing Michael Walker as much as the defense than last year? My opinion, I think he should get more playing time. He's very talented. Yeah, he is.
Definitely.
I don't know.
I don't know. Dean Pease is doing his own thing. He knows.
Like, there is a process there.
Yeah.
And, of course, everyone's trying to think, well, yeah, we get it. Trust the process, yada. But when it comes to, like, we just played 5 games out of the 17.
Yeah, it's
he can still get a lot of playing time outside of what we're seeing right now.
Yeah.
So I'm saying I think we can beat Tampa anywhere. because Tom is just begging for Grady and Deion Jones to retire him sooner rather than later. Okay, so Todd actually also did what. All right, let's hear it. I'm waiting for your comment about that. Yeah, this was not going to really come up any other way.
Yeah,
it's a good thing that we're paying attention to the chat now. Okay, here we go. His father, Jesse Tuggle, played in the NFL for the Falcons 1987 2000. Yeah, we know that. His brother, Justin Tuggle, currently a member of the Edmonton Elks of the Canadian Football League. Okay. Good. Is Case Keenum a good bye week consideration for a quarterback? No.
I think he is playing for the Browns.
He is playing,
Thursday, but not against the. Broncos defense is pretty good.
Well, not only that, but I think there's a lot of people that are hurt on that team too.
Yeah, 2 running backs.
Okay, so he also has a close relationship with Ray Lewis, which he refers to as uncle, though they are not related biologically. Okay.
That one got me. I'm like, okay.
You can duct tape your head back together.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, and I'm like, oh.
Ooh, okay. Was there anything more? You put 26 to 27. Are you still putting in more? Okay. Is Marlon Davidson playing this weekend? Good question. What was his status on the injury report? I think
it was. I didn't see him on the injury. Let me see.
Yeah, I remember about. Okay, so while you're looking that up, just says Jarrett's home is in Conyers, Georgia, are partially burned down during the second day of the 2015 NFL Draft. I do remember that
he's
story.
Not on the. Yeah, he's not on the injury report.
Okay, so we can't expect him on the field then. There are nearly 50 people, including fans and family members, at the home at the time of the fire. No injuries are reported, thank goodness. And the cause of the fire...
Give it up for...
There we go. And the cause of the fire was believed to be electrical. Okay, the Atlanta Falcons drafted Grady Jarrett the next day and immediately signed them. Falcons gear. Okay. It's all coming up.
Do you remember how you felt when we drafted Grady Jarrett? Like, I remember when we drafted him, I was like, okay, late round pick, I think that's a good pickup. Didn't really know much about
it. Well, at that time, I was 15 years old.
Yeah. I was young, so I was like, I didn't know much that
There's only so much of an actual opinion that one can have when they're that age.
Yeah.
At the time, I wasn't like who I am now in terms of how closely I'm following the off-season program.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, you're welcome. You can thank him too, bro. That way you're at it. Yeah, when it comes to the whole off-season program that I had versus what I have now, it's a lot more
different.
I have more college tape and stuff that I have access to now, versus I don't really watch college football all that much. Because for me, there's just
it's a lot of players.
Because I don't want to. There you go. Now you got some love.
You're welcome.
I thought Vic and Grady was going to dominate. Yeah, I mean they dominated back in Clemson.
Yeah.
Vic Beasley was justifiably a top round selection, him and Dante Fowler, which I'm glad that we got both of them eventually.
Yeah.
I think Dante Fowler was 2016 draft though. 2015. Who was there?
2015.
Crap. I think maybe Vic was the top. I think he was the top rated pass rusher, if not for someone else.
Yeah. That's interesting.
I can't remember. Because Dante Fowler was a top 3 or 5 draft pick in 2016. Yeah, if he was like the best passer coming out of college that season, then jeez, he
Dante
fell off a
Fowler,
cliff.
Leonard Williams.
Hunt Williams, okay. Yeah, he
There's
he
Eric
fell off.
Armstead. I mean, he did. He
Eric
was good
Armstead, yeah,
yeah.
for the 49ers. Adrian Claiborne.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he wasn't drafted then. He was Adrian Claiborne was drafted in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
So he wouldn't have been on the 2015 pass rusher team. Garrett attended Rockdale County High School in Conyers, Georgia, where he was a two-time All-State selection, a 4-year starter on both sides of the ball. He had 198 tackles, 63 tackles for loss, and 27.5 sacks for the last 2 years. Whew.
All right.
How the heck was he a fifth-round draft pick?
Yeah. Exactly.
You know why? Because he was in Georgia.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can think of.
That's one thing I've learned. Like a lot of people, like fans, and specifically, they'll go, "Oh, he's a 6th-round draft pick. He's a 5th-round draft pick. He's not going to mean nothing." Like Foye Olakun proved that wrong. Grady Jarrett proved that wrong. Tom Brady.
People asking for Michael. People asking for Michael Walker. He's a 4th-round draft pick.
Mm-hmm.
Nielsen, his veteran presence. Well,
man,
if veteran presence means something to you, boy, do I have a player for you to watch. That's Steven Means.
Steven. I remember that Cowboys game. I couldn't even get through that
sentence on a straight face. Okay, biggest surprise of the season for Cordell Patterson. Definitely. The other surprise was Isaiah Oliver before he got hurt.
Yeah. Best slot corners.
That was the only reason?
The NFL is so weird when it comes to that. They'll be like, "Oh, he's a short quarterback. He's not gonna be good." Like, or he's this, Like Russell Wilson shouldn't have been drafted that late. Like,
yeah, I think we're gonna keep a topic like that for another week.
Okay.
Because if we keep talking about too many topics, we're gonna eventually run out of questions really fast. It's gonna be able to do like a 4-week show. Which actually makes them better on the interior. Yeah, like when you're on the defensive lineman, like the trenches in general are all about like, hey, like get lower than your opponent. That's what I was taught. Like if you can get lower and get that leverage. If he isn't 5'11", he's like 6
foot. Yeah.
So
I think that's what it said on in the draft, 6 foot.
I think Aaron Donald's also 6 feet too, right? If not like 6'1".
No, he's 6 foot.
He was amazing back in Pittsburgh. Like,
yeah, it doesn't, especially down in the defensive tackle. Like,
No. Appreciate you spreading the love. Yeah, Cordell Patterson is calling it. Sorry, Mark Davis, you were demoted. How's he demoted? He's still the number one guy.
Yeah, it's a good switch up when you bring up Cordell. 3rd down back, passing plays.
He messes up with the personnel too for the defense.
Yeah.
Because they don't know like whether to add another linebacker or put another corner over there. And then when you put more corners on the field, guess what's happened? You're going to be more prone to or more susceptible to the run.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why a lot of people are still trying to play nickel defense nowadays, like having that 5 defensive backs. Excuse me, but they're trying to have that slot guy be much more of a tackler. Like that's the mentality you have to be at that position.
Yeah.
And if you can't tackle, then I'm sorry, you can't play the slot receiver or you can't play the slot corner. No. It doesn't matter about height. It doesn't matter about anything else. Because Isaiah Oliver is like 6'1", 6'2", and he's still a slot corner.
Mm-hmm.
If CPU goes down, what the heck are we going to do? We're going to trust in our next guy.
Yeah.
We're going to trust in Mike Davis. We're going to trust in Wayne Gallman. Mm-hmm. We might need to sign someone else because I don't want our third string guy to be Keith Smith. Cordell has a great knack for finding the crease in the hole and maneuvering like Sanders. I wouldn't say like Sanders.
No, like Sanders is a little stretchy, but yeah, he definitely does.
That's a little bit too much of an overpraise considering he's only done it for 5 games.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that he can't do it for the rest of the 12, but I don't want to calm down by comparing him to a Hall of Famer like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we can always play right there. Oh man, I don't think he would accept that salary because quarterbacks like I said before, like they're not typically taught to like hold on to the football unless if he finally goes in the running back room, and then, there you go. But, ooh, Sanders not really. He's just shifty and quick. Yeah, I I think that Cordell Patterson, he's as equally fast as he is quick.
It's
Some
crazy to
people
consider how
are
big he
quicker than
is.
fast, and some people
Yeah.
are faster than quick.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Derrick Henry, he's faster than quick.
Yeah. That boy
But
in
a
the open
guy
field.
like maybe Kadarius Toney, like he's quicker than fast.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's like some people are kind of bit of both, like Tyreek Hill, like he's quick and
Yeah.
fast.
Gone.
That's why Derrick Henry runs crazy, because he's as a passing league, so you have some other players. Yeah, I think that helps him out too. But
Definitely.
also, like when you have that kind of running back, the defense knows what they want to do.
Yeah.
Right? So they want to stuff the box. And that's what
Mm-hmm.
makes the Titans passing game so efficient for them, because they don't have to throw a whole lot, but they just need to exploit those times where they have too many playable, or they have too many defenders in the box, and be like, okay, well now it's just a one-on-one matchup against either AJ Brown or Julio Jones. And hey, I'm sorry, but I'm going to take that chance too. When you're trying to have 8 people stop by one running back, then
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with the better matchup over there on the outside and be like, hey, like you have like 3 people or 2 or 3 people trying to cover one guy that's just
Yeah.
as dominant.
Mm-hmm.
You expected a $1 million salary cap in New England last year. Yeah, well, that was New England.
Yeah.
They find all sorts of ways not to finagle the contract money. Maybe if we put in Felipe Franks as a running back if needed, turn him into a Taysom Hill. Felipe Franks is another guy that's faster than quick,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't see that acceleration in him yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Like, you have to have a burst as a running back. And if you don't have that burst, then I'm sorry, you can't get to the line in quick enough time to see the hole or run through it. And I think that was a couple of other people's problems, like Eddie Lacy, you know. So I don't know, with a Wildcat, a former Panther, him with the Flea Flickers. Hey man, put that in Madden maybe. I don't want to see that in the real world though.
No,
Philly special Ryan DeCam or vice versa. Hey man, I think Ryan has more receiving touchdowns to his name than Cam Newton maybe.
Yeah.
Which is just one more. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, does Cam Newton have a receiving touchdown?
I don't remember him because that would have been all over like Sports Center.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And Ryan's it. Nobody even acknowledged that.
Right, like that's just like Patrick Mahomes throwing with his left hand, even if it was like 5 yards. Like that's going to be talked about for the next like 7 weeks.
It would.
But yeah, like that is eventually going to be the Titans' problem.
You saw McCaffrey. That's McCaffrey's problem.
Yeah, like when you use these guys, you're only shortening their career.
Yeah, running backs is the most like short lifespan.
That's why Barry Sanders was running crazy, because they had bigger players. Right. I mean, I think there's a little bit to that too. Like when he's also like as equally quick as he is fast, the other opponents, big though they are, they can't keep up with him in quickness and speed and whatnot. He's also had like the stamina too to just keep running around in the backfield trying to look for something to be the hero.
Yeah.
Yeah, LeGarrette Blount style, used up, just run until the grills fall off. He was used like that, like everywhere, man. Now he's starting to Michelle Turner. That's Michael. It's good. Steven Jackson, yeah, he was another one.
He was on the Rams. It was great.
I mean, technically Todd Gurley as well.
Yeah, that's a sad story.
He's also just ran to the ground a little bit too quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Malone. So waiting to see Darby. Like that's like the fact that we're so excited about like our 6th round wide receiver.
Yeah. I really wanted to see him.
Right. Like if the draft, like if the whole like college season was normal, he would not have been a 6th round draft pick.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you had other guys like Brandon Ayuk that was drafted high, in 2019 or whatever, it's like he had that phenomenal season. That's what got him drafted so high. And then Frank Darby was right there on the other side, making just as many plays.
Yep.
But he played like 3 games, got injured, and that's why his draft stocks just plummeted.
Mm-hmm.
It had nothing to do with like his character or whatever. It wasn't because he was bad. Like, no, like once he gets acclimated to the system, he's going to understand, and he's going to be really dominant.
Yeah.
I actually wanted to see the Falcons get Najee Harris, but I wanted Pitts too. Najee, he was going to be like a late 20s like round pick.
Yeah.
Like him and ETN, which, jeez, can you? No one's talking about him,
yeah,
man.
No,
Poor
ETN,
guy.
man. that was.
Golly. Ooh. Oh, is that Gladio? Gladio Zenon? I think I'm saying your name right. How y'all feel about the O-line? Nothing but praises over here, man.
Yeah.
I do want to see a little bit more from the center though, and maybe McGarry, just to be like, hey, like there's no more question marks on our offensive line.
Yeah, we'll have to wait.
Then once other people recognize that,
there you go.
Like, come on, like,
yeah,
we got it. Darby just has a cool name. What?
Darby.
He just has a cool name.
I think I would say about the O-line, it's good to. I mean, it's not good to see, but we have to see how good the depth is in the offensive line because McGarry is out for this game. So I think we're going to put in what's his name? We signed him from the Browns. Is that left guard?
Is it Colby? Yeah, Colby Gossett or something.
Yeah. So.
But Darby just has a cool name, bro. Go back to when he was drafted. Watch that interview. Watch that press conference, and you'll understand why we're so hyped up about him.
We need to have him mic'd up from him.
Like every week.
Every week. Every week.
Sorry, Brandon Copeland, but replace your hot seat segment with anything that Frank Darby's doing.
Just do it.
I want to see something on the field. Oh, you will. Trust us.
Eventually.
Pitts is emerging. Hope they move his play count up in the passing game. He's played a lot of snaps too. Like
ran a lot of routes.
Enough for like a lot for a rookie tight end in that kind of like metric.
Mm-hmm.
If sure he can block, but he can definitely catch and run too. Well, if anything, like no one's really had any questions about his talent.
Yeah.
So many people were saying that he was like by far the safest pick to make, and obviously we're showing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, O-line has allowed 1 sack in the last 2 games against really good defensive lines. So I am salty. I'd rather see Zacchaeus or Gay step into that role more often. I do love Darby's energy. Just let's make some plays. Well, get him to the same comfortability level as Matt Ryan is in the offense. Don't worry, you'll see some fireworks.
Yeah.
All right, I just get you. Being impatient. Yeah, like we're missing Falcons football. It's like
it's been that bye week, man.
I mean we're just about to wind down, so I'm sorry to keep it waiting for too long, but
no,
hey,
fine.
You learned about Grady Jarrett.
Man, that was all I needed.
So I don't know. How have you taken care of yourself during the bye week?
Man, well, I'm a Virginia Tech fan, so that game last week was a good one. It was unfortunate, the result, but I watch college football, so I tried to use that to substitute it and play fantasy for the Sunday. So kind of got myself through it.
Nice.
I enjoyed watching the Panthers lose. I gotta admit that.
Yeah.
I was so mad when they missed. I was like, the Panthers always getting bailed out.
Oh gosh. Man. But yeah, like the Saints, they didn't have a game either. Too. It's like, man,
the Bucks
at least wanted to see them lose.
Like,
oh my gosh.
Brady gets all the. So, what do you think about that unsportsmanlike conduct, like the taunting? That is like we were just talking about that.
I am going to be completely honest with you. Mm-hmm. Have not seen what that was about.
Oh yeah, it was just at the end of the game. It was like a 3rd down. He got in his face and stare at him, and then all of a sudden it was a 15-yard penalty, and then they were already in position to score again. It just impacted the game.
So like an Eagles defender was like staring up like face to face against Brady.
No, it was like a defender on the sideline, and he just stared face to face the dude who made a tackle on, and they called a 15-yard penalty, automatic first down, and it was a crucial play
for staring at him.
Yeah, that's it. They just called a penalty for that. He didn't. I don't know if he said anything, but he just stared at him, got up in it, like not even in his face, like it was like farther away, and they just called a flag. I was like, that was just, and it was crucial though. That's the thing. I can understand if it was like a first quarter, but this was at the end of the game. Like I think it was a 2nd and 10. Like you can't call that.
Oh, of course. I mean, they always have something in the crucial moments of the game.
Yeah,
where they just get bailed out.
Always. That's Brady.
I don't know about you. I'm almost a firm believer in the fact that the second that Tom Brady retires, he will instantly die because of the contact that he made with the devil.
Yeah, Brady will.
That is literally the only thing that's keeping him alive. Is like, hey, like he signed a contract with life and saying that, hey, once you stop becoming an NFL player, your life will instantly deceive.
Had to, and once it hurts to say, but once I saw that 28-3, I saw it. I was like, hey, Brady, man, something's going on. That's impossible.
Like I made the statement that he is Ra's al Ghul. If you know what he is in the DC.
Yeah. He really is. Immortal, dude.
I just want to rip off the mask that Tom Brady's wearing and be like, oh my gosh, like your off-season workout has been jumping in the Lazarus pit every single season.
Like, I knew it.
Man, Giselle must be like the Talia of the group or whatever. Does Gage play this weekend? Yes, he is expected to play. Back. I hope to keep it up. I hope to keep it up and keep Matt upright. Yep. I mean, I don't think we have to hope anymore. I think we're going to see it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, the luckiest player of all time.
Yep.
Ooh, I've actually wanted to like release a full article on that. Because like if you just talk about his playoff performances, they have been subpar at best most of the time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like for this stat to exist, like this is crazy. He's got a better record when he throws 3 or more interceptions in a playoff game than Aaron Rodgers in a playoff game where he throws more than 3 touchdowns.
That's crazy. That in itself is crazy.
How?
How?
Wait a minute. If you close your eyes and point your head in the direction of somebody is that considered staring? Is that what happened? Like, jeez.
Right.
Yeah, man.
He said he's gonna play until 46. So, or not? No, he said 50. He said he could play until 50, and I believe him honestly.
He's going to die on the NFL field. He's going to be the next person that dies on the NFL field.
Dude is.
At this point, insane. I don't care what I'm saying.
That dude is immortal.
He is the ultimate outlier of all things. It's like
that's going. They go back to Madden 05, 06. Like you just look 99. Like Brady is playing with other people's kids at this point.
Right.
Like what the.
I'll ever wonder how the conversation between Sean McVay and Jared Goff went before Jared got shipped to the Lions.
Honestly.
Yeah, Sean McVay was like saying that he regretted that conversation or something. Like he regretted like how Jared was basically pushed out the door.
I mean, he was pushed out after what? Didn't he almost have an MVP season when they went to the Super Bowl that year?
Yeah, back in 2018. Like he was in serious contention. Who won it that year? Oh, it was Mahomes. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, no, beat him. Nobody's gonna beat Mahomes. He had a great year.
50 touchdowns, 5,000 passing yards on his first season as a starter. I'm sorry, but that takes the cake, and I don't care.
Yep.
Hey, Matt Ryan was almost in contention too that year.
Yeah, people forget about that.
So,
man,
yeah,
Bro, that Edelman catch. Oh my goodness. I'll rehashing
So
old memories.
so my story about that when I was watching
Mm-hmm.
it, I watched it at someone else's house,
Uh-huh.
and they had it delayed.
Mm.
So there was about like a whole like hour. Like I watched the game like when the first quarter started.
Uh-huh.
I watched it like an hour after everyone else did. Is
Oh,
basically what I'm
okay.
trying to
So
say.
yeah.
So I didn't want to be on my phone. And then when I saw the Edelman catch, I was like, of course. Of course.
Of course.
Guess what? They won, didn't they? They won the game, didn't they?
You already knew from that. Like
Right.
if that's happening, luck is on your side. You are getting it.
Like, okay. Have you ever played the NFL Street Games?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember doing the NFL challenges? And being like, I can't shut this team out.
Yeah.
No matter how good your players are, there is a setting
Shit.
and there is a setting that forces them to score like 2 touchdowns when
Yeah.
you go into like
You
the
can't
NFL
stop.
challenge and you go the ladder.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how bad that team is, it doesn't matter how dominant your team is, they will always just pull something out of their keister and just smack it in your face and be like, hey, we got 13 points for you and we're almost close to a game breaker.
Like you already know. Like
how?
when that catch
Like,
happened, I was like, oh my goodness. Like just move your
that is
leg,
something
bro.
that you
But then
only
again,
see
it's
from
like
something like NFL Street.
it is.
Like, not even Troy Polamalu could pry that from the ground.
It was that one, and it was the year after when Keanu Neal against the Eagles, right before halftime, the knee interception.
He
Like
hit
I
his
knew the
knee.
game was gonna go. Like I was like, oh my
Bounced
goodness,
up
there it
right
is.
into Torrey Smith's hands.
Like,
Are
oh
you
my goodness.
kidding me, man? That is something that only people that watch NFL Street.
Like, oh, like,
Oh, you know what? Hey, we're on the topic. People are thinking about it now. It's on their minds.
mm-hmm.
All right. So for those that don't know, the NFL Street Games are a game mode that happened back in the mid 2000s. There are 7 players on the field for your team. It's a 7 versus 7, right? So it's 3 offensive linemen, 1 quarterback, 2 receivers, and a running back. And then on the other side, it's like generally 3 defensive linemen, 1 linebacker, 2 defensive backs, or 3 defensive backs too.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing: that your players play both sides of the ball. There's no timeouts. There's no field goals, nothing, no refs, nothing, right? No equipment. Maybe there's like shoulder pads, but that's about it.
Yeah, that was about it.
So they play in all different types of scenarios. They have style points and all this other things. So basically what we're trying to say is, or what I'm getting to is, if they made a game today, like let's say, hey, they announced NFL Street 4.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you drafting on your team?
For me, Lamar Jackson.
Okay, so that's your quarterback / whatever.
Mm-hmm. Everyone, DB, all that.
So for me personally, it depends on the game, right? So the first game, I didn't need a quarterback.
Mm.
In the second game, I kind of needed one. And in the third game, you can go without one either way. But it's like the third one is something that no one else really talks about. So just the first 2 games, okay? Like the first one, you can go and complete the whole NFL challenge and not draft the quarterback or not really need to throw. Second game, not so much. Yeah. So if we're talking like the first Street game, or let's say that they made the 4th one like as good as the first and second one, I'm not going to draft a quarterback. I don't care how good they are. I'm going to have someone else that can throw for me that also plays a different position. Or I'm not going to worry about throwing at all, and I'm going to have a running back as my quarterback.
Derrick Henry doing that little
imagine
jump
Derrick.
Hey,
imagine that in NFL Street. And they play both positions too. Like, hey, I'm going to have Derrick Henry as linebacker.
Dude, now that you talk about this, I'm not understanding why they don't make it NFL Street. Like, it would sell so, especially with the way the state of
That's
Madden.
what the yard is trying to be.
It is, but it's
And no, it's not.
It's Madden. It's Madden.
No,
you know?
it is not.
It is not the same.
Yeah, man.
Man, you knew when you had a game breaker, it was over.
Devin saying that all his players was huge.
Yeah, just making them super swole.
Yeah, they made, or not only that, but they make them like 6'7".
Yeah,
you know,
just big for no reason.
Golly, so Todd's drafting Josh Allen. I understand that. You know, he can jump. He's got the agility moves. He can throw deep. You know, hey, let's keep this rolling. So you'd focus on his skill positions, namely Julio, DeAndre, and Devontae Adams. See, my other philosophy is if I'm not going to have a quarterback, I don't need a receiver either. So
True.
my two other guys are going to be corners.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so if let's say that we're going to do it right now, like your first pick in the pickup game is Lamar Jackson. My first pick is Derrick Henry. What's your next pick?
Who would be my next pick? So I have like maybe I'll say it may sound crazy, but Aaron Donald.
Ooh, that's not crazy at all.
Yeah, because dude is insane. Him or Myles Garrett.
Oh. Okay, well you said Aaron Donald first.
Yeah,
right?
okay, Aaron Donald.
I'm gonna pick Myles Garrett then. All right, you go next.
You'll take it. Man, this is a hard one. Okay, Jalen Ramsey.
Dang it.
Yeah.
I told you about my philosophy.
Yeah.
Okay. Crap. If I want to go with another corner. Safeties 2. Oh, man. I wish EA didn't have an monopoly on football games. I miss NFL Fever, EA Sports renditions of football were more great too. We need more football games, not less. Yeah, and the other ones the other versions were like 8-bit or 16-bit ones on Steam or whatever. I can't get into those because that's not what I'm used to, and I can't get on like Madden Mobile or whatever because that's just super predicated on transactions.
Yeah.
Ooh, Ty Nielsen saying Micah Parsons. Okay, so my next pick. Jeez, do I go corner now? I think if I don't go corner now, then you're gonna go corner next and just try to pick against me. So, oh. Okay.
There's so many great players out there.
Man. Whew. Jair Alexander.
Yeah, I was gonna pick. Dang.
All right, so we are at round 4.
Round 4. I would say Christian McCaffrey, but yeah, for me.
Are you going to?
Yeah.
Okay. My 4th. Cordero Patterson. He's a good tackler too. He plays both sides of the ball.
Yeah. See, okay.
Probably has really good coverage skills.
Yeah. And then we're talking about, okay, my next pick will probably be Julio Jones. We picked it, play safety.
Okay,
and
so
receiver.
You're going to have him at 5. Okay, if you're going to talk about safety, the safety is a position that I user.
Yeah.
And if I'm looking for a user, I need someone that can catch, that's got good speed, that can jump, and that can do something for me on offense. Guess what, boy? Kyle Pitts at safety.
Oh my goodness, bro! I didn't know.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness.
All right, so we got 2 more rounds to go.
Sheesh. All right. Darren Waller.
Probably start thinking like
Pitts. Yeah.
Okay, so you're gonna go Darren Waller. All right, I'm gonna think of more line players, and I need someone else to blitz for me. Oh, I'll just go with a guy you may have heard of him. It's Chandler Jones.
Bro, Jesus. um, I need a defensive pick because I got.
All right, we're
I'm
are we one
sure.
player away?
Yeah, one more.
Okay.
I think. Okay, I would pick Devin White. I would say
Devin
Deion
White.
Jones, but I don't know if the ratings. Like I'm thinking about who's good now and who's relevant now, how they would make the ratings. So probably Devin White.
Well, then I guess that would give me free reign to pick another corner. Wait a minute. Okay, wait. So list out your team again. How many
So it
players do you have?
was. I'm trying to
You had
think.
Lamar
First pick,
Jackson,
yeah, Lamar Jackson,
Aaron Donald.
Aaron Donald. I
Third
know
pick
Christian McCaffrey was
was
one of them.
Christian
My
McCaffrey,
third
Julio.
pick was Julio.
Then you said Darren Waller.
Yeah, Darren Waller, and then Devin White.
Devin White. Okay, so you're complete now.
Yeah.
Okay, and on my side, I had
You said Myles Garrett,
that was my second pick.
Jair Alexander.
Okay, so Jair was my first pick.
Uh-huh.
Then I had Cordell Patterson. I had Kyle Pitts. I had Chandler Jones.
Wait, I think I picked more because I remember I said Jalen Ramsey.
Jalen. Oh man.
Yeah. So I think let's just not count that last pick then because I think I already had 7.
Okay, so you don't have Devin White then.
Yeah.
All right, so I still need to pick someone else then to finish out my team. I think I didn't. Man, trying to figure out like what my team looks like. Crap. It's hard to do this when it's all in your head.
Yeah, it is.
Oh,
You don't
jeez.
listen.
Do I go line? Do I go corner?
I think you could pick either because.
Well, I can't pick either. I only have one choice.
Wow.
Oh man, do I want to focus on defense? Do I want to focus on offense? So many choices.
That's why it's like you're like, oh my goodness, how would I build the team? It's exciting.
Okay, if I'm gonna go, offensive line.
Yeah, I was gonna say what he said, but
Quentin Nelson.
Quentin Nelson?
Yeah, he'll be my last pick as O-line. I need someone to block.
Yeah, hello, we. I was gonna say Kelsey or Deion. Like I was gonna pick Deion for my last or Kelsey, but Pitts. I think Darren Waller would be a little bit faster.
Yeah, he's faster. He's taller. He's got the more raw talent. I mean, like those are really good options too.
Man, like if they don't, I think they're bringing back NCAA, right? So I think there is some reign to bring back street both sides. Like, they'll eventually bring it back. I think so, especially with these Mahomes and everybody, Lamar Jackson.
Well, also, Mahomes Sanu, he'd be a great quarterback, man.
Yeah,
Russell Gage wouldn't be that bad either.
Yeah.
I think like in the first street games, if I wanted like a quarterback, but I didn't want like a quarterback, I'd go Antoine Randall.
I'll say we all knew Vic was the number one. Everybody wanted Vic on their team.
Sure, right?
Yeah. I forgot about Tariq.
Yeah.
That's an all-star team.
Whew. It really makes you want to bust out the old PS2 or something.
Man, I'm about to bring it out.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever thrown an incomplete pass.
Yeah.
Sanu.
That was a crazy stat when he was on the Falcons.
I think he was like 12 for 12 or something.
Mm-hmm.
He may have thrown something in San Francisco right now, or maybe New England.
Has he? Oh, I know New England he did. I don't know about San Francisco.
I think that would have been his 12th one in New England.
Mm-hmm. I think he's 12 for 12.
That's crazy. I haven't really heard at all from Mohamed Sanu.
No, I follow him on Snapchat. He's just, posting stuff, but no, he's not doing anything like that.
But jeez. It just goes to show you, man, that we know how to take care of our weapons.
Yeah. Cordell Patterson is one of them. I think Arthur Smith is, he's dealing with Cordell Patterson. And it's crazy that he's 30. You would think he's breaking out. Oh, he's 26, he's 27. He's breaking out finally, but he's in the later
he
part
was
of
drafted in what, like 2013?
Yeah, it's crazy.
So almost had a 9-year career, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Mike Davis isn't no sprout chicken either. Sprout chicken.
They got me thinking people like that didn't break out. Percy Harvin was one of them. He was electrifying.
Oh man, and like if we're gonna go all time like NFL street players, like man, like imagine imagine the Legends team over here. Man.
Oh my goodness,
of the past like couple of decades.
Mm-hmm.
Whew, boy. I think we're gonna end it on this kind of note.
Yeah,
kind of get people's juices flowing because it's almost 10 o'clock and I kind of held you way longer than you wanted. But all right, just don't want to make sure that I'm like kind of. Patterson has 8 touchdowns on special teams. Yeah, so I feel good about my street pick.
Yeah, your team was stacked, bro. I want to play it in real life.
Like, yeah.
Once the game comes out, we got to play it like that.
All right, so yeah, I think that does it for the show. Thank you all for tuning in, and I don't know how to do an outro anymore.
It's an amazing show. Have a good night.
All right, bye y'all.
Bye y'all.